topic impeachment draft nazwa sinzizwa yatova munhu parliament but regai tione kuti izvo zvinodevelopa sei in the coming few days, tione kuti izvo zvinofamba sei. But political philosopher, how are you? Are you there?
Yes, Ngoma Jez, how are you?
I'm good. Zviri sei?
Zviri ndiri kunzwika.
Yeah, muri kunzwika, but mutanga ningi muri kutravela?
Yeah, ndiri kutravela, so let me do this.
Aiwa, ningi muri kunzwika, taura zvenyu.
Ndiri kunzwika, okay. So just 3 seconds ekukutenda Ngoma Jez kuti you are not going anywhere. You are still with us. Pandaona Ramanyora, I thought maybe ZANU-PF is after you because ndotsika yawo vanhu veZANU-PF kuchikidzira, but I'm actually happy that you are still with us. Going through to the topic, I feel like we have to try every strategy to remove ED. We have to try by all necessary strategies that we have. Right now, Comrade Geza waka raise the issue impeachment, which is a good thing ku visa Mnangagwa through impeachment, because ndaimbofunga kuti tomboti tikaita uprising, let's say we do demonstrations. After the demonstrations, how are we going to remove him? The only way was to kill him, kana kumuendesa kunonzi chikujeri, but of course we are not going to do that because we are not going to kill him, we are not going to do that. So after demonstration, tetuzobvisa Mnangagwa wacho sei ndo yanga iri question yangu, but tomboti demonstrations akava successful kumubvisa Mnangagwa, I was going to be happy. And also I had fears kuti how are we going to manage civil wars, kuti in case kuti tikabvisa ED zvechisimba kana tikamacha ED was going to retaliate because anima mercenaries as you hear Comrade Geza vachitaura kuti even Sean Mnangagwa angadotenga mabhomba, meaning to say kuti it was going to be war, hondo chaiyo. That's my fears kuti muZimbabwe mukaitika hondo with the level of drug addicts that we have, vanhu vakabata pfuti, are we going to stabilize our country? So impeachment is peaceful somehow, but it's difficult now to remove him with impeachment, considering the type of parliament that we have, right? Mu parliament maybe we can see that amuna democracy, amuna unity, and also we can easily identify ZANU-PF room parliament through Mudenda, kuti he can only support anything chiri in favor of ZANU-PF. So if it is impeachment, it means we have to consider every member of parliament, every senator, arimo mune that beauty, to convince them to vote against ED kuti mubvise, because I feel like everybody mu Zimbabwe arwadziwa, everybody mu Zimbabwe is suffering. And also considering Comrade Geza coming up with that strategy, havazibenzi zvekuti vangabva vati takuenda kuimpeachment. There's a reason why he chose impeachment. Inini according kune vanhu vandiri kutaura navo vari kunana Gweru, vari kundiudza kuti chimoto chakatobaka. These are just the beginnings yekubviswa kwaED. One way or the other, ED ari kuenda. ED is going one way or the other, whether impeachment or not. But we are going to see so many activities which are force ED to step down. But on that impeachment now, tataura nema member of parliament, right? Tikataura now, are we sure that these member of parliament are going to agree with us? Kana kuti they are going to be loyal to kuna ED, because ED are likely kuvapa mari, ED are likely kunovapa ma resources, because most of my opposition members mukatarisa, they are not financially stable, vanotodawo mari. So tine challenge ango Jeza totarisana nayo by impeachment. Yes, we can move the motion, but I still have a belief yekuti tinofanira kugara nemamember of parliament opposition pasi tombomira zvekuvatuka kana kuita sei, right? Because as the first paper,
there is no government in Zimbabwe. Simple. Mnangagwa have got to go now.
What I know. Mofti mirai munapedzisa mofti.
Ndakupedzisa zvangu. Tikatarisa pakutanga mamember of parliament ekuopposition varimo vane mwoyo wekutoda kubvisa ZANU-PF. They are there. Even ku ZANU-PF kwacho variko vanotodawo kubvisa Mnangagwa because mukatarisa
impeachment agora.
Aiwa mofti momirai, aiwa mofti aiwa chimomirai. Right.
Because mukatarisa ku function yake ya general atoriwo nevari loyal kwaari mamember of parliament. So ndo team ratiri kuda kuti tigare pasi tione kuti mavhoti atingabuda nawo mangani ekuita impeachment because ndo strategy yapo. So we have to look in that strategy and work on that strategy. Ikaramba then toenda kune imwe strategy. We are not supposed to dismiss strategy yataroona comrade Geza kuti impeachment mbatati aiwa vanhu vaya zviti. What if they are willing? What if they can help us? For example, comrade Geza tiri kumira navo yeti vangu vari ku ZANU-PF vakakumbira regerero, right? Kuti ndakatadza zvandakamboita ku ZANU-PF ndinzwe iwo ndiregerere. And a lot of people, right, vari kuvanzwira tizi kuti hazveshuwa munhu anokwanisa kuchinja. So we can also give that benefit of doubt kumbotrayawo mamember of parliament nemasenator arimo kuti guys ngatimbobvise zvigananga, ngatimbobvise because mukatarisa mapay avari kupiwa muparliament right now $200 havasombopiwa mari vanhu vaya. Ingori agenda nemanarrative anonga achifambiswa nevezANU-PF mufunge kuti vari kupiwa mari mamember of parliament. Then imini vanhu veruzhinji matoti aiwa saka vanhu vari kudya mara vanhu vakatengwa yeti hakutomborina mari, right? Hakutomborina mari yavarombopiwa vanhu vaya vanotaurika nawo the same way yatiri kwanisa kutaura naGeza from ZANU-PF. We can also talk nevanhu vakatikanganisira vari muparliament wacho kuti bvise ED because ndiyo strategy yatati ndo yatakufamba nayo according to comrade Geza. Strategy impeachment kuti tiwine impeachment we need numbers kuside kwedu kuti bvise ED. We can do that. Remember ndichigara pasi, remember madeza aida ku impeachment, right? Bobo kunyange angaine manumber akawanda ema-MPs angari loyal kwaari, but motion impeachment yanga yatofamba, people are going to vote against Bobo, meaning to say kuti munhu can change, munhu can transform. It's possible for a person to transform. So guys, let's work to convince parliament to do impeachment to remove it. Zvikaramba toenda pa atifani kudiscuss strategy. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, for that. I appreciate. Thank you very much. Right. KK, are you there? Right. Edwin Tapiwa.
Yes.
How are you doing?
And no fine. Totenda ne decision amatitira. First time to speak on your space, but it's been valuable. I think Vanawanda told about your contribution and support all the people. Tichenda panyaya impeachment inini chandru kumbiro sema Zimbabweans njokuti for patience, because the how question atiri kubvunza kuti ma strategies akamira sei and so forth. I think if Geza akaburitsa information yakanyanya kuwandisa stereo by informing us is also informing my enemies. Understanding us citizens, yes, we want the information, we want to have answers right away. But for Anaruma Barak, Vanari military trained, I think their way of working things out. Saga, as citizens, we need to do critical thinking to the aftermath and so forth. But in doing so, let's be smart about it so that we don't demoralize our citizens in this movement. So yeah, that's my submission.
Right. I want to not tender. Thank you.
The world won't accept it if Mnangagwa is removed now because he is incapacitated. And we know Zimbabweans, we are crying. We are all over the world and we are crying. And we want our President Chamisa to be in power. And that's what we are asking. Your question is that Zimbabweans want Chamisa there. Chamisa doesn't have an army. He doesn't have to build an army. The existing army will be his own army. So if you want in diaspora, you want to build your own army, build it now.
Okay. Right. Yeah, Paraiba. Okay, KK. I see your hand is up now.
Yes, I'm back, Uncle Jeta. How are you?
Africa. Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
No, that's fine. I hate kuti papa mboitika kuti mangamati maakuda kuenda Uncle Jeta. This is acceptable, Uncle Jeta. This is the space we come to, and it's a very important space to us where we talk and we from all angles, and we process national issues together, and that's important for us. Saka rambai muri makatitsigira Uncle Jeta, we need this until we get to where we want to get to. But speaking about the impeachment draft, I think this is, in a way, for me, I think what is important is we must not miss these processes that are happening. I think they are bringing us closer to our systems of governance, what tools are available to us, and exactly how these things work, regardless of who we are coming after. I think there's a I don't know if it's a misconception or what, which says impeachment equals removal. I think when we hear the word impeachment, most of us we are looking at the end of it and not the process, and even not giving room for any other outcome except the removal. But it's a process. It's a tool that we have put in the Constitution that is available to us, which we can exercise at any time should the person occupying those important seats, and not just the president, can then be brought to accountability through through such a tool. I've looked at the grounds of impeachment. I think it centers a lot on the president's being incapacitated by a medical condition, which has been stipulated in the document. I think it's bringing to a test a lot of things. Who is the rightful adjudicator on a case like that, where obviously there's scientific issues involved, issues that must be authenticated by those who are practicing medicine, and is it an ultimate thing that should the doctors find that is the case, then it equals removal, or we still have to go through a parliamentary process which involves the right committee picking up the matter, voting on it, and recommending it to the floor. Remember, there's a panel which must investigate all these things that have been put in place. Then there's a committee that is relevant, the relevant committee that should recommend a full impeachment proceedings before the legislative body, and that's both houses brought together for a vote. And then it's a court where we subject our elected officials and some of our officials that are in these high positions to the process of accountability. And how strong those institutions are only as strong as we are, the people. And I think that's one of the issues that we are not addressing. And I heard the issue of money that already is in play. And Amboverenga, a statement that I think, who was this guy who made this statement that, the difference between 2017 impeachment of our former president Robert Mugabe and today, or these impeachment proceedings, which have already, I think we have a draft, they haven't begun yet. The difference being that the funders were on the side of the impeachment process, or were on the side of those who brought up the impeachment. And by funders, they're talking of the Taquireis and all these other guys. So which brings another element or another component to the whole equation, which is money. Money, we know what it does to our people. We know what it does throughout the corridors of power. I mean, it's no secret. And this is one of the things that we've been yearning about. So I don't know, given all these things that are being brought in play, how far will these impeachment proceedings go, and what would be, how do we project them, how do we see them playing out? Are we going to be successful? And remember also, impeachment proceedings like last time were used as a negotiating tool. Are they going to be that having that same effect? Then it brings into play a lot of things which perhaps do not align or do not seem to be aligning as yet, as compared to 2017. 2017, I think by now we knew that the army was on which side. So there have been claims that have been made that have not been confirmed, and that's how politics plays out. Those things are never going to be confirmed until the last moment. So basically, it leaves us in a world of speculation. A lot of things are not yet aligning. We are not seeing the strength of the case, both in terms of the power matrix, and obviously fueled also by money, like we are seeing in 2017. So we are sitting here trying to analyze, trying to see which way this thing is going to go. But remember, we are the people. We are the ones that instituted these proceedings as a way of holding power to account. And I think it's the first, or maybe it's the second time we are coming full swing into contact with that as well. So it's important for us to ensure that we understand the processes, and we see how best we can strengthen them outside the money, outside all these other tools that are available to people who are in the corridors of power. How do we strengthen our institutions, especially those that we use for holding power to account? Those questions, I think, are important. We need to be raising them. We need to continue, like you were saying, Ango Jeza, we need these spaces to continue ventilating those issues so that, at the end of the day, we come up with something, regardless of what political party you are coming from. This is a national conversation about our institutions, about our instruments of power, about the power matrix, how we should keep power in check. All these things, regardless of who occupies, whether it's today it's President Mnangagwa, tomorrow it's Chamisa. The Constitution has those provisions, and those provisions are blind to who occupies office, and they should remain blind. So we should have those intelligent conversations that are or that are above partisanship in terms of really strengthening our institutions and things like that. But from where I stand, I think there's still a lot of things that are not aligning in the way that 2017 aligned with a lot of other things to give us the outcome we had.
Right. So yeah, no, I hear you, on that one. So, right now, by that you mean that, the army element is not visible like it was back in 2017. And they're proposing a process that they tried to initiate in 2017, but we did not see it to its fruition. And we don't really understand that process vis-a-vis our circumstances, and what we can only rely on are the things that you've mentioned, that the processes that are involved, and not forgetting that Emerson Mnangagwa also has got a right of reply to whatever it is that is being leveled against him. And there's also the issue of the judiciary. We know that the judiciary he controls that. We know that there's Luke Malawa, who is there, who is a direct beneficiary of the shenanigans that happened when there was that amendment that sort of extended his term extended stem. So there might be this willingness on his behalf to want to pay back, and he can use that process as well to want to show his allegiance to Emerson Mnangagwa. So given everything that is at play today, everything that is a play now, we are now into the into that realm of considering how successful this can be, or how this can actually play out and get the result that people of Zimbabwe are looking forward to, which is the removal of Emerson Mnangagwa from power.
True, Uncle Jason. There's
Right.
still a lot of things that are not aligning. So, well, where I stand, I'm not ruling it out. Remember, everything is kept to the cards are kept very much close to the chest at this point. So we are told what we need to know. It's on a need to know basis. I can't rule it out, but for me, from where I stand, just from there's still a few things that need to align.
Right. Iowa, thank you very much. I do appreciate. Right. More for that, as you say.
Uncle. Angomsadaro tenge tiri pakati pema-commercial meetings mauda kutiburisisa pakati. Ndauza, I was telling genuinely that I wasn't connected to this. It's just a shock. Vamwe vari kuramba vari kungoti muri mese pachigemu. But I'm sorry to take you back, just a quick one. Yeah, what a roller coaster though of emotions that we've taken people through. I was listening and not listening, but in that also motora ka break to listen for a bit. But yeah, it's just the shock, the genuine shock of people, just the sadness, uncle, and then a lot of heartfelt messages that came from different people. I really, really felt that, and it's just the genuine outpouring of their appreciation to what you do and what you have built. So then only for you to do the twist, to just twist it at the end.
It's a pity that
you really got people there. I see how it is. But you know what? Just the whole moment, Uncle, it really showed how much love and respect that the people have for you. The way that everyone just rallied to come in to speak their words of appreciation. It wasn't just for show, because people genuinely thought that's it.
Exactly.
That was real. And it's just a testament, to what you've built here. So it's really, really appreciated to say, there might just be conversations, but it's more than that. It's a community that has been built, that you've built yourself. And it's a place where I heard someone saying, can even get lonely, just come on these spaces, people come together, they share, they learn, and they even get pranked now. So people have to be careful.
MTV.
Yeah, MTV,
MTV prank.
Yeah, but
it's I mean, what I do sometimes, emotional attachment is such an important aspect of mental health. Mm-hmm. If you look at the definition that was provided by the World Health Organization in terms of what mental health is all about, you'll find that it goes beyond just one being ill. It goes it touches on different aspects that relates to the biopsychological model, where you are speaking about the biological aspect, itself, the social aspect of itself, the economical aspect of itself, the psychological aspect, of itself, and then we venture into the emotional attachment that people have and that people create, and that is quite crucial to mental health, and that right there is one of the important factors that speaks to a health status of an individual. So when people were pouring out, when people were speaking, I was in tears, I was tearing up, because that right there, it showed to me, Kuti, even though I go through different attacks, I go through some of these issues that I go through, being labeled a CIO, being so many things have been said. People even saying, Gutizo, you must be arrested in the same mode, you must be treated the same way that William Shinyanga was treated, etc. I'm a human being. When I look at some of those things, they really get to me. But at the end of the day, it is for the greater good that I continue to do what I am doing, because deep down I know that I'm not doing anything wrong. I am not doing anything wrong. Even one who tries to want to say, Kuti, hey, you are trying to do this, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do this. But I'm not trying to do anything. But what I'm trying to do is to highlight, to conscientize the Zimbabwean folks, the Zimbabwean people, about what is going on in Zimbabwe, and create an environment where we can freely speak as Zimbabweans. And we don't want that to be taken away. We don't want that space to be closed, because we know that in traditional media that space has been closed. We know when it comes to print media, the space has been closed. We know when it comes to television, when it comes to people hearing voices, people speaking as human beings, that space has been closed, and it is controlled in one way, shape, or form. Saka, what we want to do is, this is why I've always said, Kuti, I don't fear anything. I don't mind. You might characterize me in any way, shape, or form that you might want. You might attack me. You might say anything about me. You might do this. But that is never going to be deterring me from pushing, or from doing what I want to do, because nobody can control me. I can only be controlled by God. If God, stops me in terms of, breathing, then, that is the end. Not kuti izo munhu wenyama zvake anouya achida kunditi ningi ndisiyane nezvandiri. That I draw the line, that I will never accept.
Absolutely, Uncle. And I think it's just the energy that we have, the panica authenticity, and the way people, even different people, feel seen and feel heard. It's important for people just to feel good. Somebody's listening, somebody's hearing them. Saka, it's rare, and what we just saw there is how much people value that. I genuinely respected that moment. I thought there was somebody who was saying you should record and play for your Zukuru. Was it Scotty or somebody?
Yeah, it was Scott, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the emotions, the way people didn't want to accept the idea of losing this space. It speaks volumes. Yeah, it really speaks volumes. And even I've seen, because when I came here and I first started with you, I was just figuring things out, in terms of like hosting large numbers and that, finding our voices and understanding how to navigate, space. But, just being alongside you and to see how sometimes you hear the conversations, how you make, some of these things are natural. You can't force it. If you don't have it, you just don't have it. But I think, we've just seen, we've really seen that people feel very much included when you speak, and the experience has really been, it's really, really great to see. So anyway, I know my time move on with the topic, but I just had to say, that was something else. I couldn't come earlier on, but I'm here now. On our birthday, we'll talk.
Thank you very much, more for the that is what I think pane mumwe munhu aenda kunoripota kuna adijeni yako jeni vanodetera ise. She was like, hey, Baba Tyrese. Sekura kundai.
Hazimira zvemafanisi.
Sekura munashe. Chimubira.
Yeah, emotions are real. It's real. Especially in diaspora, people are living in different. And you know what? Some of these conversations actually help people to go through their days. And because imagine people, we've heard a story. I saw there was this thing, post one na mofu kuda msasiwa about this girl talking about how their friends who've got different qualifications.
Oh yes, I saw it. Yes.
Yeah, and they are doing different professions from Chinjamari, Uber driver, to whatever they are doing. She was laughing, but she wasn't really laughing, And you can tell like how people have been dispatched in different countries and how people, are generally not happy. And depression is real if you're in diaspora. Even friends. Or sometimes, people fall off and they don't have much to speak, no one to speak to. It takes their toll. And if they can come into a place or a space where, they can get genuine information, speak about their country, given the chance to speak and be listened to. It's a way that it helps people on day-to-day lives. So let's not underestimate what you're doing here, Uncle. It's and I think just the 40 minutes or so that you prank people, I think the message is said it all. So
yeah, it was loud and clear. Thank you very much. I do appreciate more. Thank you very much. Right, Shumba. Thank you for following me. I followed you back.
Yes, Blageza, thank you for accepting my request today. Thanks a lot, Neza Muruputi. I really appreciate. I'm a truck driver in Europe. Most of the time I will be just listening on the platform. Zinenge zvichitaurwa navanhu but ndazobatikana nhasi Blageza vakuti ndakuda kumbo no. Ndimi maovheti edu chaiwo ka enguva yedu takuzotaura kuti Blageza ndiye mukuru maovheti much of the time on kuti Blageza, one thing chandiri kukumbira, I see a unifier. Chimwe chinotangira pachinotangira. Makatora mukoma Hopewell muri kuvaisa paplatform, then chimwe chandokumbira kuti torai vanafadzi mahere, irregardless ekuti hatisi kuwirirana mafungiro edu, but vachiuya vanafadzi mahere vana the likes of mpano wedu Babulawayo, I'm forgetting the spokesman Solas, vachiuya tichitaura vatichivanzwa vachitaura paplatform ndokutovaka Zimbabwe yachona, then tichipinzawo the pioneers in politics vakaita sana Simba Makoni vachiita mentor on kuti this thing atichivake takadai, but the beginning tatoiona is iri kubva kwamuri, you are a unifier, but then kana makuti makuda kutiramwira isusu tiri kutoona kutoti aiwa apa kawo vheti redu apa ndo sinyawo vheti redu vanageza vakatogwa pavakagwa, because look how old is he, anditi muri kuonaka saka akatogwa pake, then there's someone, there's a horse which is needed to take on, then to carry on this thing. It's you, Blageza, because vamwe mogona kutiona tichingogara tichiuya muspace tobuda tobe, but you are there kutisimbisa. Yes, ini ndinopota ndichinda hangu kuZimbabwe after 4-5 months, but then chimwe what I want to say ndechekuti what Hopewell always come zvinondiita kuti ndirambe ndichidzoka kuZimbabwe ndichinoita and I want to develop, I want to do this kuitira kuti kana tapinda mugood Zimbabwe ndinoziva pekuti ndiri kutangira pakati, ndiri kudai apa, ndiri kudai, than kuzoti Zimbabwe yanaka then ndakutanga kutanga kuita zvakadai. No, but please keep on with the spirit. Musavhundusigwa. Ndo zvaingoitwa vana baba vedu, ndo zvaingoitwa vana sekuru vedu pavakatanga chimurenga 1, pavakatanga chimurenga 2, ndo zvavaingoitiwa vachingoitwa navarungu kuti tinokusunga, tinokudai, tinokupisira musha. Yes, expect that kuti hama dzenyu blajeza dzichatochewa because of what you are doing. It's not good. They are not. We know the people, the caliber of the people we are dealing with. Kuti kana vasinga kubati wewe, vanosvika pakuzobata hama dzako. You get what I'm saying? Saka expect it. Saka, but what I'm asking from you, please don't leave us. We are with you in this struggle.
Right, Aiwa, thank you very much, Mukomani. I appreciate you. Thank you very much, for that. Right. Okay. Can I quickly bring in T1 into the conversation?
Ango Jets masquerade.
Avana vizei.
Mdara yamazokanda ndo inonzi bombshell chaichai kudarika geza manje. Munotura BP mdara. Munopuwa kuti totandarira kupi. This is a platform inotivhura njere, inotivhura maonero. As adults, tese with whatever is happening around us, tine maonero atinoita. But when we interact on this platform, we become a family, we share diverse maonero edu yawo. At the end of the day, we come with a conclusion. Yekuti tinoonesana kuti 1, 2, 3, these are the nuggets. Ma positives in the eye, ma negatives in the eye. We conclude by weighing side rinoenda zvinhu. Saka you leaving us on this platform, munenge masiya vana vega. Tiri vana venyu, we may be older than you or what, but nenyaya yekuti munohosta this platform, we are so informed, we stay informed, we stay close to home, because especially if you check vanhu vakazara panapa, they are in the diaspora. We stay close home tichiona zviri kuitika through this platform. Sometimes we may not be accessing zvinonyatsotipa zvikuitika kumba, but when we get here tinotaura chaizvo. Saka I would want to thank you for quitting the idea iyo yekusiya platform inei. Thank you very much and happy birthday. Ndangonzwawo kuti mahongera twacho ipapapo. Thank you so much. Please don't leave us. Rega tizodzoka taakutaura nyaya yeimpeachment iyi. But ndangofunga kuti let me weigh in ndichikutendai nekusabva paplatform.
Thank you, T1. Thank you for that. Let's move to Advocate Herbert.
Titus, how are you? Uncle Gerard, how are you? Okay, Uncle Gerard, are you there? Kana kuti mabatwa mutsipa mezwa maitwa iko. But anyway, I'm happy to be on this platform, and I just wanted to give a vote of confidence and thanks to Uncle Gerard, to Titus in terms of what they have done, and encouragement as well. I want to say to these two gentlemen, I'm very happy with when Uncle Jed came into spaces, regular spaces. Some of us, they know me here. Titus knows me. If you look at the history of the spaces, I don't want to mention names of spaces, but there was so much limitation in terms of one political space which used to gather up people, and there wasn't much of a variety of people expressing themselves. So some of us, we opened spaces some years back to try to give that balance and variety in terms of people expressing themselves. And I wanted to say to Uncle Gerard, welcome to the professional hazards of opening spaces. What Uncle Gerard was actually saying, it's what we've already gone through. This is common in Zimbabwe, sort of scare tactics where you get labeled. Sometimes it's painful that the people who label you are not necessarily people from the regime or the system. It can be people also who you think you are serving and fighting for within the democratic space. So this is the usual labelings. You are CIO, you are a sellout, you are this. And speaking to Uncle Gerard, one of, I think Titus knows this, my experiences which I ended up bringing out to the public, it came to very serious threats to me, to my family, where you could see that you are being hounded, and this was very, very serious. And one of the things which became more painful for me is that the people that I thought were my comrades in the democratic fight started accusing me of fabricating matters and etc. etc. But this has not actually stopped us from speaking and giving platforms to people. And, it should be a button, Uncle Gerard and Titus, that when I open a space, I'm taking a button from you. When I close a space, you take a button. We continue like that. And we do not exist as competition in spaces, but we exist as people who are complementing each other. So it would be a very sad note to hear one of us being elbowed out, being silenced or kurama kutino and chada. It's very painful, and we need to acknowledge that we are human, and the human feeling sometimes kicks in to say, but ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand the idea that we have families, we have commitments, we have jobs. Staying on spaces for hours and hours and hours, you would naturally expect people to appreciate you, people to uplift you, but it's not like that always. There is that professional hazard that you get rotten eggs thrown at you, threats coming to you, some people backstabbing you. So I'm coming in as one of the people that you already know, Titus, who has been in the trenches with you guys and others. And not to say I'm beating up my chest, but I can relate to what you have gone through in terms of, character assassination and things like that. But anyway, I just want to ask something, Titus and Uncle Gerard. Zia pa Easter paka zvagwa munhu here kana kuti pakafiwa? Paka zvagwa munhu?
Pakaitwa sei?
Paka zvagwa here kana pakafiwa? Anyway, I'm just opening up to the issue of the impeachment so that we do not dwell on the wonderful space that Uncle Gerard is actually opened. As I'm going to Paranya impeachment, remember we discussed about 2017, what was surrounding Robert Mugabe at that moment, where he was incapacitated, but possibly people were taking advantage of him in terms of the G40 and the wife. Is it a deja vu, perhaps? What Comrade Geza actually spoke about is not a surprise to me. Maybe it has come as a surprise to other people. That's why perhaps there should be a debate in Zimbabwe in terms of, I think the debate was opened before, what should be the age limit of somebody running for the presidency? Should be it perhaps 70? It should be, because if there was a proposition to say there should be an age limit of somebody running for the presidency at 40, why should they be also minimum 40? Why shouldn't they be a cap in terms of age? Should a person go to 100? This is not to say that we are sidelining our senior citizens, but we need to understand that as we grow older, kana iniri panapa pandiri panapa bora ndairirova chazvikururwa zvazvo, but kwada kuti utenderese unonzwa kuti musana wangu uyu hauchanyatsokubvuma zvandaisiita, asi mupfungwa umu ririmo bhora. Handitika it's the same thing with the president. We should debate and probably propagate in the constitution what should be the age limit, so that we don't have a president who starts getting taken advantage of the wife, people who are surrounding him, and then he abdicates his duties, and there we are. So this is a legacy which Robert Mugabe actually left, which Emerson Mnangagwa has taken over as well. And I think our discussion should also border on that idea of the capping of the age limit, of course, as well as the two-term limit, which must not be played around. And I think Geza's noise has also helped to quieten a little bit the 23rd bid. So the impeachment draft, I've read it through. It seems to be authentic by the way I look at it. And judging by the way the president has performed in public, even Warakashi tries to say he's being sarcastic and etc. I don't think so. It's a matter of applying lipstick to a frog. It's very clear that the president seems to be losing it a little bit. If not physically, then it should be mentally. And will it be successful? It depends on how he would appeal to people who he says are very loyal to him. Because in 2017, Mugabe thought that people were very loyal to him. At the end of the day, yes, there was an attempted removal of him through force. Army tanks were rolled in. But at the end of the day, there was an impeachment process which was being rolled, and we hear that he ended up resigning. So it's not out of imagination or reality that impeachment can still be a reality in the term of Emerson Mnangagwa. It can be a reality, withstanding the issue that ZANU-PF, I think, has a two-thirds majority now, and they have Chabangu's opposition. But in politics, you should never count the loyalty of people at face value. Because in 2017, Mugabe thought that he had loyal people, but he ended up losing it. Fast track in 2025, you might see that Mnangagwa might not have people who are so loyal. So let me just, hand over the mic for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Advocate. Just a quick question. Pane Varkutijo, there has to be a signature. My initiating signatures on those impeachment documents, and some people are questioning to say who have the balls or who have the kahunas to sign. Do you think that will be a problem?
I don't think that will be a problem in terms of a signature, Comrade Titus. Okay, in my understanding first, this is a draft, right? So of course a draft has to be adopted. And is it a draft emanating from within ZANU-PF? If it is emanating from within ZANU-PF, obviously it is to be signed within ZANU-PF. But the impeachment does not necessarily have to come from a certain person or government officials. Herbert Nyarwanda can actually also draft an impeachment draft, which he then gives to one of his MPs. Impeachment that does not have to be driven by a legislator or anyone else. So the issue of the signature, I don't think it suffices. I can draft an impeachment draft, hand it over to my MP or opposition MP to table it in parliament. So the issue of the signature, I don't think it suffices, Titus.
Right. No, thank you for that, Herbert. Thank you. Ango, I'm not so sure what your lineup was like. I'm not so sure who was added first.
Right. I was, going with the people, that but I think, Joy was, Joy has been here, for a minute. So let's give Joy, the opportunity, to speak, and then we can then, go on into others. But Joy, do you want to come through?
Thank you, Uncle Jared. Good evening, everybody. Good morning from wherever you are. So I just wanted to share my 2 cents on this impeachment process or impeachment route that Comrade Geza decided to take. First of all, I was paying close attention to everything that he said. That's number one. And after watching that address, I was surprised to see a lot of negative reactions from people, like he doesn't have a plan. And I was wondering, Kuti, were we listening to the same person or you were listening to something else? Because one thing that I picked up from his address is that the impeachment idea did not emanate from him personally or from his team, but it actually emanated from parliamentarians. Those are the people that approached him and gave him this idea. If you watch towards the end of that address, he actually says in Shona kuti, vana vakauya kwatiri vakati, isai nyaya iyi kwatiri, munhu uyu aende. So that is very clear, kuti. The parliamentarians, they are parliamentarians, maybe not all of them, that approached Comrade Geza on that, right? And I am sure with his experience in Secret Service, he most definitely vetted them to see who just want to counter the revolution, right? So that's number one. And I also believe, Kuti, Comrade Geza is not just an ordinary old man. I think he's very smart, he's very intelligent, and he also understands how the system works. And one thing that I know he knows for sure is that politics is a game of numbers. And he knows that there are numbers that are needed for this impeachment process to sail through. So I strongly believe that he knows that he's got the numbers that he needs from parliamentarians, maybe not from the Senate, but I believe, Kuti, the numbers that he needs are on track, right? So I also wanted to say that in Inangu, I am more on the optimistic side of things, and I believe that this impeachment process is going to be in our favor, right? Those of us that want to see Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa out of office. I don't think, Kuti, as much as we are saying that the parliament is captured, the fact that there are people who approached Comrade Geza, it shows that it is not as captured as we think it is. There are people in there. I think somebody said that there are no permanent friends, no permanent enemies in politics. And in spite of the precab agreements or treaties, I think most parliamentarians are going to choose their political future over anything that they have received. I don't think Kuti Parliament is it comprised of people the same age as Mnangagwa, who is like in the end, towards the end, right? The sunset of his life. I don't think Kuti, a 30-year-old parliamentarian, a 40-year-old parliamentarian would love to align themselves or sacrifice their political future for an 80-year-old man who is actually mentally incapacitated. Because the issue of mental incapacitation, is just being put in there to have Mnangagwa gone. The man is unwell mentally. The social media platforms are there are so many videos to prove that, because like, do we have a train? Those are things that are too obvious for anyone to forget, especially the president of the country. Saka, he is unwell. So I'm very positive kuti this thing, impeachment, it's going to go in our favor. And I know that politicians, they will go in the side where the winds are blowing in terms of the numbers. I know kuti edu as citizens, especially Isuzu Zimbabwe, we kind of feel like we are not powerful, or we don't have a say in the political events or outcomes of our country. But I tell you, Kuti, if we continue supporting Comrade Geza online, continue, hashtagging Geza, and just being positive about it, these that are in these corridors of power that are going to get to decide on this impeachment process, most of them would want to be heroes too. And finally, as I land, I just want to say that at the end of the day, I am not looking at Emerson as this dictator, oppressor who must go. But to be honest with you, I'm a very compassionate person. At the end of the day, I'm really looking at him in his humanity. He's an elderly man, and he's being abused and exploited by Jiganandas. And if that was my father, I would have definitely rescued him from the position that he's in, because it's destroying his legacy and just putting the country in a state here, Kuti. You've got this responsibility over your shoulders, and there are people coming to you because you are in a place of power and taking advantage of you. Saka, at the end of the day, ndoda kuti zvikananda pazvinoenda kucourt ngazvitongerwe elderly abuse because of what they are doing. These are people that are around him most of the times, and so they obviously know that he's got dementia, but they're taking advantage of him. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, but another charge you got more fans elder abuse.
Yeah, but some of the comments, you really wonder, Kuti Pekutanga, I thought like he's just doing it for, because I think one a sense of humor. President funny. So when he was asking questions, like for example, Easter, you wonder, was he really like joking, or Muna serious? So I'm gonna with abuse for sure.
No, but more funny, okay, he would do it on the microphone.
Yeah.
But you would see you'd be consulting those around him. That that is where it is problematic for me. Kuti pamuri kuona pese paari kurakidza kuzungaira, he's speaking to vanhu vanenge vari around him.
Yes.
Because if somebody wants to be in jest and want to make it appear as if arukanda ake a joke, you would just do it like on the microphone. But he's first of all starting to be consulting folks around him. He is not understand, he is not in his faculties. He's somehow confused. He is not following. I don't know even say stadium.
Yes.
You can begin to build this this evidence that speaks to somebody that is being affected by some form of cognitive impairment, especially when it comes to memory loss, and that speaks to my issues dementia.
Mwari wakagara pamvuri.
And Saka, when you're looking at someone, because dementia, those that have that understands, that one of the things, that it does, it affects, memory. There is, memory loss, loss.
Yeah.
And pane zvinhu zvaunoexpecta kuti munhu ange achiremember, achitondera things, that should be in his short term, memory, but munhu iye anogona kutadza remember. And they can they can find comfort in childhood memories. This is why they say kuti munhu anoita revert to being a child, because they're tapping more into their long term memory. Kana kurunzizo iri loss ningi yamai ari mwana mudiki, they will start to relive that and stuff like that. But it's something that is immediate, something that you expect somebody to just step into, there and there, because it's there in your short-term, memory. It's something, that you can easily, remember. He's demonstrating signs of a person who is cognitively impaired in terms of remembering things that are easy, to remember.
And it's not an isolated one incident, isn't it? We actually point to 3, 4 that are public. So
remember with this
exactly. What about the private uncle that
exactly.
So vanogona kuva taken advantage as well.
Asi vakasukuyera akataura painterview yekuti he's being told by people who are around him kuti izvo vakutomuti mudhara ndikisaina yapo, because if you wake up tomorrow anogona kunge ndingatokangana.
Wow.
Because this is what is supposed to be. I'm not saying I haven't seen the professional report when it comes to this diagnosis of the VD. But at the end of the day, you can begin to build. You can begin to to build your evidence that speaks to something of that sort. Because if I was a person who is undertaking a clinical diagnosis or clinical assessment or of him, these are some of the things that I can factor into my assessment. Kuti ndiona kuti memory loss yake yakamira sei, cognitive impairment iripo here, and some of these things can help me towards getting to that diagnosis. Yekuti nditi maybe munhu maybe akanganisika brain dzake, and this is pointing to some form of dementia. It will always behave in this way.
And I think what doesn't help is if there is an influence of alcohol as well. Combined with that. And we are talking of strong alcohol, not just these light ones. So you can imagine, pakauma.
It damages brain food animal. Second, there's a lot that is right. I know when it comes to somebody's medical information, I know what these guys they are saying they've come across that evidence, because it can only be evident from a specialist, from a certified individual who is a professional who can be in a position to pass a diagnosis of this particular disease that we are talking about. And they're saying they have that evidence. How they got their hands to that evidence is something that can be up for discussion, but for them to then prepare a draft that speaks to this right here, it means that they're sitting on something.
They've got something. They definitely have got something.
Yeah,
that will be interesting space to notice. Right, anyway, let's move on, guys, to the next speaker. Right, so if I can give to Muzwenkoso, you were dropping, please come through.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, your network is still bad, my brother. We can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're breaking off.
Can you hear me now?
You're breaking off.
Okay, let me just
go
drop
ahead.
then you.
No, we
okay,
can
I
hear
was
you
saying
now.
this thing
Right.
is. Okay, I was saying this thing is started long back. That's why you see everything has been brought to president's office, because they are limiting people who are going to discuss direct him. but only those who knows kuti ane problem. Even ishe kuti zvinhu zvinoitirwa kufamu vese vari kuenda kuyaka vachitaura naye vanotoziva kuti ane problem. So zvinhu yakatangira kare but chinhu chinonga chikura ka to the point yekuti now they now see kuti it's now affecting maduties anofanira kuita papublic. That's why you see after every sona he must always come to the parliament achibvunzwa achisupporta zvaanenge ataura maparliament alenzi achibvunza, but they always cancel those things because they know kuti anokwanisa kungodhomoka ari pamberi because ari kurohwa nedementia. Saka yakatanga kare vane ground vakomana vari kuti anorohwa nedementia vanotozviziva zvakatanga kare. Then when it comes to politics, because it's the issue of numbers, mukatarisa member of parliament is ZANU PF ari kunyanyobudikira shaura nze 2030 ndiwo ari kunyanya kungoti munonzwa vachi because they know kuti their lifetime or their political life yakangosungirwa pakusapota iye.
Yeah, Muzenkosi, you broken up again. Right, if you can try and fix your network,
thank you.
Maybe drop, then try and drop, maybe later come back again because we can't hear you now.
Right, he's raising quite an important point, Mofu Kuti. If you look at Kuti, there are things that are being moved, to the presidential, office. And some of the decisions that are being made are being made, there. And he's raising an important point, Yakuti. This condition that we're talking about, one, dementia is no cure. And two, it is a degenerative condition. It means that it gets worse, with the time. There's a progression, deterioration, the mind and the brain and how it is supposed, to be working. When you're considering it in a normal, human being with, who's mentally stable, who's mentally fit, or whose brain is still, working in a way kuti tingati izinto zirikudonza ka tingati uyu munhu ane capacity yekumeka ma decisions. And then now when you start to hear kuti the wife is getting more and more involved, when you're starting to hear kuti the children are getting more and more involved, when you start to hear kuti those who are surrounding him are starting to be more and more involved, then that speaks to a family element that is coming in making decisions on his behalf. But our problem some of these things, if they are not put out there, and more there is sort of a family capture of everything, and yet they are speaking to the family support that comes in when somebody who's got a degenerative condition like dementia. You end up seeing the family itself becomes more and more involved in making decisions on behalf of this individual. But you would find my decisions manje anenge akumekwa, they are now sort of selfish decisions of people who are now realizing that their time is up. So when your time is up, you want to try to consolidate as much as possible. If it is accumulation of wealth, you want to do that as much as possible, such that when the time comes for you to be out, Kuti, you are getting out, you've got everything, and you can easily, get out. So looking at these things, you can, we can begin to be looking at these things around some of these things as noitika. When somebody was said to be having that condition, in that manner. Because this individual, right now, right, it does not necessarily mean good if somebody has got, that, condition, depending on the stage, there are times whereby they can regain, their faculties, they can function, properly. But there are times whereby if it really gets to them, they will not be in a position to be, functioning. And this is where the decision, making falls on the family. They end up making my decisions. So right now he was in Victoria Falls, opening and whatever, but you would find you be a person who will be closely being monitored in case he does not go astray in terms of his communication, in terms of his thinking, in terms of all these things. So we are looking at all these issues as we kana kuti zvinoitika nemunhu anenge aine condition anenge iyoyo, but is right to say kuti like what it is a progressive condition. The generation, it is long term. In terms of years, it can take maybe 7, 8, 10 years for that degeneration to take place. But the evidence now, there's something that is wrong here, comes incidences if it's not reading something on a teleprompter, if he's saying something from the top of his head, that is where they can begin to be losing it. And it becomes evident. It becomes out there, visible. There's something wrong.
There's something that's not wrong. And you can imagine the people around him, that's something that they have tried to cover up, like especially when he goes in public places. It can happen privately and they can deal with it. But exactly. I want to believe they would have tried to cover up any public misperformance or him saying like that. But I think there comes a stage, because it reminds me, I don't know if you remember, Uncle, there was a time, was there an auction, I think a year or so ago, and mukuru wanga wakabatwa nana yoti no machaka irena, he couldn't walk. Like,
oh yes. How do we know this? He was drunk.
I know, but maybe it was a combination. But he was a microphone was on a distance there, and he was trying to give a speech. Then he was pulled to the microphone. Then it was really, really bad. But I think they just tried to cover it up, and the Asata would. But I mean. We are drawing so many cases, so many examples that we are pointing out. Good, okay, maybe if this thing has been happening, Chakato Tanga for a while, and if it's been happening, we are seeing cases in public places. So maybe these guys actually do have something in terms of that. But anyway, let's continue the conversation, guys. Can I try Ndini Zimbabwe?